Welcome to this episode of Med Student Investor. In today's episode we will discuss Teva Pharmaceuticals. Teva Pharmaceuticals is a pharmaceutical company that operates globally, with significant foothold in the United States, Europe, and various other markets worldwide. They possibly hold the most impressive generic medication expertise and portfolio along with a focused specialty portfolio. In 2017, they announced a new organizational structure and leadership which results in the amalgamation of the portfolios under one organization operating through three regions: North America, Europe and growth markets. Additionally, each region is set to manage the full extent of portfolios, which includes their generics, specialty and over-the-counter. Let's begin with a quick business overview. Teva Pharmaceutical is the leading generic drug company in the United States and Europe, with significant presence in the rest of the world. Their specialty medications for core therapeutic areas such as central nervous system includes Copaxone and Austedo, respiratory medicines which includes ProAir and QVAR, and oncology consisting of Blindica and Granix. In 2017, the company's generics line accounted for 55% of their total revenue, followed by 35% of their specialty medication line, which was 40% lower compared to 2016. Additionally, in 2017, Teva led the U.S. generic market in total prescriptions and new prescriptions, with an estimated 583 million total prescriptions, presenting 15.2% of total U.S. generic prescriptions, according to IQVIA data. With regards to their generic medication overview, as stated before, Teva is the leading generic drug company in the United States with over 500 generic prescription and OTC products in more than 1,800 dosage strengths. Most of their generic sales in the United States are made to retail drug chains, mail-order distributors and wholesalers, which continue to be impacted by customer consolidation and alliances. Teva is also the leading generic pharmaceutical company in Europe and among the top 3 companies in more than 25 markets across Europe. No single market in Europe represents more than 25% of their total European generic revenues, and as a result they are not dependent on any single market that could be affected by pricing reforms or changes in public policy. Teva's rest of the world markets is comprised of more than 25 countries covering 40% of the global pharmaceutical market. Revenues of generic medicines in the United States, their largest generics market, was $5 billion, an increase of $480 million, or 11%, compared to 2016. In 2017, gross profit and gross profit margin from their generic medicines segment was $5.1 billion compared to $5.7 billion in 2016, a decrease of $581 million or minus 10%. And 41.7% in 2017, which was a decrease from 47.5% in 2016, respectively. Lower gross profit was mainly attributed mostly to higher production expenses, and lower gross profit in the United States and rest of the world due to price erosion. In 2017 the profit of generic medicines segment was $2.8 billion, compared to $3.3 billion in 2016. The decrease was mainly due to lower gross profits and higher road expenses, partially offset by lower sales and marketing expenses. Shifting focus to their specialty medicines, majority of Teva's revenue in their specialty medications is attributed to their CNS line. Specifically Copaxone. Copaxone's revenues in the United States in 2017 decreased by 12% to $3.0 billion, mainly due to generic competition which resulted in higher rebates and lower volumes, partially offset by price increase of 7.9% in January 2017 for both the 20 mg/ml and 40 mg/ml versions. With regards to Azilect and Nuvigil, the sales were $170 million minus 59% compared to 2016 and $61 million minus 70% compared to 2016, respectively. Their respiratory portfolio ProAir revenues in 2017 were $501 million minus 11% compared to 2016, and QVAR revenues were $361 million minus 22% compared to 2016, mainly due to negative net pricing effects. ProAir is the second largest short-acting beta agonist in the market, with an exit market share of 47% in terms of total number of prescriptions during the fourth quarter of 2017. flat compared to the fourth quarter of 2016. QVAR maintained its second-place position in the inhaled corticosteroids category in the United States. An exit market share of 35.3% in terms of total number of prescriptions during the fourth quarter of 2017, a decrease of 3.2% compared to the fourth quarter of 2016. Combined revenues of Bendika and Trinda, their oncology medicines, were $658 million in 2017, compared to $661 million in 2016. Majority of Teva's revenue in their specialty medications is attributed to their CNS line, more specifically Copaxone, which in the United States decreased by 12% to $3.0 billion. Mainly due to generic competition which resulted in higher rebates and low volumes, partially offset by price increase of 7.9% in January 2017 for both the 20 mg/ml and 40 mg/ml versions. In 2017, the specialty medicines revenues were $7.9 billion compared to $8.67 billion in 2016, a decrease of 9%. Specialty medicines revenues in the United States were $5.7 billion, a decrease of 15% compared to 2016. Specialty medicines revenues in Europe were $1.8 billion, an increase of approximately 10% compared to 2016. Specialty medicines revenues in our Euro markets were $448 million, an increase of 27% compared to 2016. In 2017, gross profit from their specialty medicines segment was $6.9 billion, a decrease of 9% compared to last year. Lower gross profit was mainly a result of lower revenues. Gross profit margin for specialty medicines segment in 2017 was 86.9%, compared to 87.1% in 2016. Decrease in gross profit margin was mainly a result of lower sales of Copaxone. In 2017, Teva's profit of specialty medicines segment was $4.3 billion, compared to $4.7 billion in 2016, a decrease of 7%. Teva's revenues in 2017 were $22.4 billion, which was an increase of 2% compared to 2016. This was primarily attributed to an increase in generic medicines segment from the inclusion of Actavis generics revenues for the full year of 2017, compared to 5 months in 2016. Partially offset by the adverse market dynamics in the United States. Acquisition of Vanda in the fourth quarter of 2016. Partially offset by a decrease in their specialty medicines segment due to generic competition to certain of key products, decline in sales of budesonide, the generic equivalent of Pulmicort, registered sign, and methylphenidate extended release tablets Concetta, registered sign, authorized generic due to increased competition. Exchange rate movements during 2017 in comparison with 2016 negatively impacted revenues by $914 million. In 2017, gross profit was $10.8 billion, a decrease of 9% compared to 2016. The decrease in gross profit as a percentage of revenues primarily reflects lower profitability of generic segment, higher amortization of purchased intangible assets. Lower profitability of specialty medicines segment, the inclusion of Vanda, lower profitability of other activities, partially offset by lower inventory step-up expenses. Inventory-related expenses in connection with the devaluation in Venezuela and lower costs related to regulatory actions taken in certain facilities. In 2017, Teva reported a net loss $16.3 billion, compared to a net income of $329 million in 2016 and $1.6 billion in 2015. This decrease was primarily due to goodwill impairment, an impairment of long-lived assets and lower profit in their generic medicines segment, partially offset by an income tax benefit in 2017 and lower legal settlements and loss contingencies. During their previous conference call, Michael McClellan, the newly hired executive VP and CFO, stated that in 2018 they expect total revenues to be approximately $18.3 to $18.8 billion -16% -18%, compared to $22.4 billion in 2017. Attributed this decline 3 factors: Copaxone, US generics and ProAir. Global Copaxone sales are expected to be approximately $1.8 billion in 2018 from $3.8 billion in 2017. US generic sales consistent with the current segmentation are expected to be approximately $4 billion. decline of roughly 20% versus 2017 due to ongoing price erosion in base business as well as other products that have enjoyed periods of exclusivity, including the generic Concetta. Lastly, expect to see a generic competition for Pro Air franchise in the US during the second half of the 2018. Downfall of Teva began when they purchased Actavis, Allergan's generic drug division in August 2016, for $33.43 billion in cash and approximately 100 million Teva shares, worth about $5.3 billion at the time, which Allergan agreed to hold for at least 1 year. The move made Teva the largest generic drug producer in the world, and also increased Q1-2017 sales to $5.63 billion compared to $4.81 billion in Q1-2016, an increase of 17%. This deal closed at the time which the generic drug prices took a dive in the United States. Various variables played a role in negatively impacting Teva's generic business in US in 2017. These included additional pricing pressure as a result of customer consolidation into larger buying groups capable of extracting greater price reductions, an accelerated FDA approval process for generic versions of off-patent medicines, resulting in increased competition for these products, delays in the launch of some of their new generic products. On the 22nd of December 2016, Teva Russia, the wholly owned Russian subsidiary, to resolve criminal charges and to pay a criminal penalty of more than $283 million in connection with schemes involving the bribery of government officials in Russia, Ukraine and Mexico in violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Related proceedings, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filed a cease and desist order against Teva. Thereby the company agreed to pay approximately $236 million in disgorgement to the SEC, including prejudgment interest. The combined total amount of U.S. criminal and regulatory penalties to be paid by Teva is nearly $520 million. In July of 2017, Teva filed a lawsuit in Federal Court of Pennsylvania, alleging that its ex-chief of regulatory affairs for its American generics business was passing trade secrets to her boyfriend who happened to be the CEO of the generics industry rival Apotex. The lawsuit states that for a period of 2 years, Teva employee Berine the Sandu copied company files onto flash drives and passed them to Apotex CEO Jeremy Desai. August of 2017, Teva announced that the full-year profit expectations would be falling short of estimates. Additionally, they announced that they would be cutting their dividend by 75% from 0.34 per share to 0.085 per share. The reason behind this move was to save $1 billion annually in hope to pay off the immense amount the debt that they had accumulated, mostly attributed to the purchasing Actavis. On November 1, 2017, Allergan announced that it will begin to unload shares of Allergan as they had lost approximately 60% of their value since the time of purchase only a year prior. In addition to accumulating such debt, Teva seems to be losing the legal battle to keep generic versions of its brand name drug Copaxone out of the market. In January 2017, U.S. District Court invalidated 4 patents on Teva's multiple sclerosis therapy drug, Copaxone, which means that the generic version of the 40 mg of the drug could be manufactured, which was detrimental to Teva's plan to switch patients from a 20 mg once daily to the 40 mg 3 times a week version of the drug. In December 2017, Teva reported that as a part of their restructuring plan, they would suspend dividends. Now let us talk about what the future holds for Teva. On the 19th of September, 2017, Teva entered into a partnership agreement with Nuvolution Pharma for development of Austedo for the treatment of Tourette syndrome in pediatric patients in the United States. Austedo, which is an oral deutetrabenazine, is a reversible inhibitor of vesicular monoamine transporter type 2, and Teva has been approved for both tardive dyskinesia and chorea in Huntington's disease. Huntington's is a hereditary neurodegenerative condition characterized by progressive motor, cognitive, and behavioral dysfunction. Worldwide prevalence of HD is 2.71 per 100,000 people. However, it appears that Europeans, Australians and North Americans have a higher prevalence rate compared to Asian countries. With the current world population of 7.6 billion people, it would suggest that there may be about 27,000 people suffering from Huntington's. However, there are more than 35,000 in US alone. Tardive dyskinesia (TD) is the collection of involuntary movements of the tongue, lips, face, trunk, and extremities. pathogenesis of which is associated with dopamine and dopamine receptors in patients' brain. TD is common in patients who have been on dopamine receptor blocking agents DRBA for an extensive period of time. Prevalence of TD has been estimated to range from 20–50%, with a higher prevalence in those treated with first-generation TAA and those treated with second-generation agents. Although, initially, DRBA were used for treatment of schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder, they have also been used in mood disorders such as major depression and bipolar disease. Current estimates state that there are 6 million individuals in the United States with these diagnoses who have received antipsychotic drugs. It is estimated that currently, in the United States there are 300,000 patients who suffer from moderate severe TD. Over the years, physicians have used a variety of off-label methods to treat TD, such as using Botox injections to VMAT2 inhibitors such as tetrabenazine. The FDA approved tetrabenazine in 2008 as a treatment for the jerky involuntary movements associated with Huntington's disease called chorea but not for TD. Austedo is an analog of TBZ, which by strategic placement of deuterium, which is a heavy hydrogen isotope, drug developers were able to prolong half-life, reduces metabolism variability, thus reducing dosing frequency and improve tolerability, compared to tetrabenazine. A recent study compared the data collected during the randomized control trial for both TBZ and Austedo. Study found that both TBZ and Austedo had only a mild effect on chorea compared to placebo. However, when compared to each other, TBZ and Austedo did not significantly differ in chorea score or total motor score. Depression and somnolence, which were evaluated using rating scales, favored Austedo significantly over TBZ in both clinical domains. Austedo is not the only VMAT2 inhibitor on the market. Valbenazine, developed by Neurocrine Biosciences, was approved by the FDA for the treatment of TD on April of 2017. Ingrezza's annual wholesale acquisition cost falls within $76,000, which is still higher than Teva's Austedo with an annual WAC of $60,000. Cost of both drugs is staggering, especially considering that the Patient Global Impression of Change scale, which is based on patient self-reporting, not outside raters of symptoms, not show a significant difference compared to the placebo. However, patients did favor the two drugs. This begs the question, if patients are not necessarily feeling much different, will they choose to stay on these drugs long-term? On the 12th of May, 2017, Teva entered into a license and collaboration agreement with Otsuka Pharmaceutical, providing Otsuka with an exclusive license to conduct phase 2 and 3 clinical trials for fremanezumab in Japan and, once approved, to commercialize the product in Japan. Fremanezumab, a humanized monoclonal antibody targeting calcitonin gene-related peptide CGRP, is being investigated as a preventive treatment for migraine. Migraine is described as a complex neurological disorder that is characterized by recurrent pulsating headaches of at least moderate severity. It is estimated that there is a global prevalence of 15–18%. However, chronic migraine, occurrence of at least 15 days with headache per month for at least 3 months, affects approximately 2% of the population. On the 12th of May, 2017, Teva entered into a license and collaboration agreement with Otsuka Pharmaceutical, providing Otsuka with an exclusive license to conduct phase 2 and 3 clinical trials for fremanezumab in Japan and, once approved, to commercialize the product in Japan. Fremanezumab, a humanized monoclonal antibody targeting calcitonin gene-related peptide CGRP, is being investigated as a preventive treatment for migraine. Migraine is described as a complex neurological disorder that is characterized by recurrent pulsating headaches of at least moderate severity. It is estimated that there is a global prevalence of 15–18%. However, chronic migraine, occurrence of at least 15 days with headache per month for at least 3 months, affects approximately 2% of the population. Teva was able to secure a priority review at the FDA for this drug, which would reduce the number of months from 10 to just 6 months, putting the PDUFA in June 2018, which is just 1 month after its competition drug leronlimab, which is being manufactured by Amgen Inc., which has a PDUFA of May 2018. Additionally, fremanezumab is also being investigated for the prevention of chronic and episodic cluster headache as part of the Phase 3 ENFORCE clinical research program. It has also been granted Fast Track designation by the FDA. Trials expected to be completed by 2019. They have also initiated Phase 2 trials for post-traumatic headaches. According to global data estimates, the drug sales for migraine in 2016 were approximately $3.3 billion across the 7 major markets. They also believe that over the next 10 years the market could grow to approximately $8.7 billion at a compound annual growth rate CAGR of 10.3%. North America is the current leader in global migraine drugs market. Is estimated to retain its leading share by rising at a CAGR of 3.4% from 2017 to 2025, which would potentially be a $2.13 billion by 2025 end. Europe is second to North America and they are forecasted to have a $741.4 million market by 2025 and with a CAGR of 3.4%. The price tag estimated to be about $8,500 per year. One could assume that this may also become a 9-figure drug for Teva. Next drug in their pipeline is fasinumab, which is a fully human monoclonal antibody that targets NGF, a protein that plays a central role in the regulation of pain signaling. There is evidence that NGF levels are elevated in patients with chronic pain conditions. In September 2016, Teva entered into a collaboration agreement with Regeneron Pharmaceuticals to develop and commercialize fasinumab in the United States, the European Union and certain other markets. Fasinumab is currently in phase 3 clinical development for the treatment of pain associated with osteoarthritis with 3 trials in progress. In December 2017, Regeneron initiated a phase 3 efficacy and safety study of fasinumab in patients with moderate to severe chronic low back pain and osteoarthritis of the hip or knee. Global pain management market is valued at $35.5 billion at the manufacturer's level for 2016. ECC Research projects growth over the forecast period to CAGR of 7.6%, which will result in sales totaling $52.0 billion by 2022. The current market for pain management is valued at $36.1 billion, which constitutes as prescription pharmaceuticals in the device segment. It is estimated that the global market for pain management will grow from nearly $36.1 billion in 2017 to $52.0 billion by 2022, with a CAGR of 7.6% for the period of 2017 to 2022. Additionally, it is believed that the pharmaceutical segment will grow from $32.3 billion in 2017 to $47.6 billion by 2022, rising at a CAGR of 8.1%. Global pain management therapeutics market is presently dominated by 2 products: opioids and nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs NSAIDs. Collectively, they account for more than 52% of market share, with North America accounting for more than 56% of total consumers. Teva is planning to market fasinumab for lower back pain and osteoarthritis. Prevalence of lower back pain is estimated to range between 1.0 to 58.1%, with a mean of 18.1% and the 1-year prevalence ranging from 0.8 to 82.5%, with a mean of 38.1%. Chronic low back pain prevalence has been suggested to be 4.2% in individuals aged between 24 and 39 years old and 19.6% in those aged between 20 and 59. Osteoarthritis OA is the most common joint disorder in the United States, with the prevalence of NEOA being approximately 10% and 13% in male and females aged 60 or older, respectively. Prevalence of symptomatic hip, knee, and foot OA has been suggested to be 4.2%, 15.4%, 0.1 to 61%. With the ongoing worldwide opioid epidemic, and the way it has touched many communities, the demand for such product is undeniable. Additionally, long-term use of NSAIDs can have detrimental gastrointestinal and renal effects. Thus, fasinumab may provide some hope for patients suffering from chronic pain. How much of the market share will fasinumab grab? That is hard to determine. With the emergence of cannabinoids as potent and cost-effective method of pain management, it is hard to determine what the exact adoption rate will be. It is imperative to note that majority of the patients suffering from such condition will be of low social economic status. With the emergence and validation of cannabinoids and how cost-effective they can be, it is hard to imagine fasinumab, a human monoclonal antibody, cost less than a few $100s per month. However, this is all speculation, and we will have to wait upon completion of Phase 3 clinical trials to make further evaluation of this drug. As a part of their restructuring plan, in December 2017, Teva announced a comprehensive restructuring plan intended to significantly reduce cost base, unify and simplify organization and improve business performance, profitability, cash flow generation and productivity. This plan consisted of the following steps. Global workforce reduction of 14,000, about 25% of total workforce, approximately 50% expected to be completed by Q2-2018. Closure and divestments of 12 manufacturing plants, with 6 announced since December 2017, expect to announce 6 more by E2018. Suspension of dividends on ordinary shares and ADSs. Dividends on mandatory convertible preferred shares to be evaluated on a quarterly basis. No annual bonuses were paid in 2017. Simplification of organizational structure by reducing layers of management, streamlining processes and divesting, closing certain road facilities. Restructuring charge of $700 million to be recorded in 2018. Generic medication portfolio optimization. They have begun initial discussions with key customers regarding unprofitable products, either in the form of price adjustments or discontinuation of the products. Reviewing of all road programs. Cut roughly 27% of programs that fell outside of core expertise area and where it's very speculative whether they would be able to turn a profit from these programs. Total cost base to be reduced $3.0 billion from a base of $16.1 billion this year by the end of 2019. More than half should be achieved in 2018, full amount by 2019. As a part of the restructuring plan, Teva managed to shed some of its women's healthcare products. On November 1, 2017, they completed the sale of Perigord, a copper-releasing intrauterine contraceptive manufactured and sold in the United States, to Cooper Surgical for $1.1 billion in cash. On November 2, 2017, Teva completed the sale of Plan B One Step and their brands of emergency contraception Take Action, Vitra and Next Choice One Dose to Foundation Consumer Healthcare for $675 million in cash. On the 31st of January 2018, Teva announced the sale of a portfolio of products to CVC Capital Partners Fund VI for $703 million in cash. Teva has stated that they expect their gross debt to be lowered by approximately $3.5 billion by end of 2018. It is very difficult to be optimistic about a company that has so much uncertainty. In the midst of such uncertainty, there is significant obstacles to overcome. Sales of their specialty drug Capixone will continue to decrease as generic drugs begin to overtake the market share. Additionally, the Actavis, Allergan's generic drug division, acquiring a significant amount of debt as the generic medication market was declining, was poorly timed. In their recent conference call, Teva did not present a very bullish 2018 outlook. They told investors to expect revenue decline to $18.3 to $18.8 billion from $22.4 billion. Decrease operating income to $4.0 to $4.3 billion from $6.7 billion. Increase in EBITDA to $4.7 to $5.0 billion from $6.7 billion and decline in EPS to $2.25 to $2.50 from $4.01. Their guidance for 2018 has the potential loss of revenue for their 40 mg Capixone factored in. Company has made significant changes in management. Company is still looking at areas and assets that they feel they could sell. Their European oncology may potentially be next. Company has also reported on average $3.0 to $5.0 billion of free cash flow FCF, which can be used to further reduce their debt. Continuation of dividends, however, will save the company approximately $1.0 billion, which could also be used to pay down debt. Teva has placed itself as the world leader in generic medicines. Although Capixone on average was responsible for approximately $4.0 billion of revenue in the past 3 years. Management have stated that they expect that number to decrease to approximately $1.8 billion. Hope that sales of Austedo will be able to somewhat make up for the revenue lost from decreased sales of Capixone. However, they do not expect to see any significant contribution from Austedo sales until 2019. Development of fremanezumab will also be a driving factor for their future growth, as it has the market demand and potential for a 9-figure drug. They are skeptical in future of fascinumab. Although the market demand is present, there will be significant competition from the emerging cannabinoid sector, which may be more cost-effective to the patients. This is a factor that cannot and should not be ignored by investors. Values the company at 40.0, suggesting that with the current share price of 19.25 at the time of writing of this report, the company is trading at more than 50% discount, with more than 100% upside within the next 24-36 months. Suggest that the investors note that this is a long-term investment and should expect to wait 2-3 years prior to realizing their full returns. The company has stated that investors should not expect revenue increase until 2019 and beyond. Perhaps with the decrease in debt, Teva Pharmaceuticals can return to their days of paying dividends as well, which we would not expect for the next 2-3 years. Quick note on Berkshire Hathaway. With the recent intrigue surrounding Teva Pharmaceutical, Teva attributed to the Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway's stake in the company. Berkshire Hathaway disclosed in 13F filings with the SEC that they have purchased approximately 18,950,000 shares, 1.8% of Teva Pharmaceuticals' outstanding shares, for a price of $357,695,000. In addition to the purchase of Teva shares, Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio consists of only 315,400 shares of Procter & Gamble PG valued at $2,897,000, up 0.99% from time of purchase, 327,100 shares of Johnson & Johnson J&J valued at $4,570,200, up 7.74% from time of purchase, 3,878,524 shares of Sanofi SNI valued at $166,777,000 down 14.24% from time of purchase, and 38,565,570,000 shares of Davita Healthcare Partners DVA valued at $2,786,362,000, up 21.65% from time of purchase. Total portfolio exposure of Berkshire Hathaway to healthcare is approximately 1.77% of their total assets. This recent purchase of Teva is approximately 11% of their total healthcare exposure. You must note that their holding of Davita shares makes about 82% of their total healthcare exposure. This move was surprising, as Berkshire has been reducing their holdings in both J&J and SNI. When asked about his reasoning behind this acquisition, Warren Buffett was quick to remove himself from the decision-making process and stated that it may have been one of his deputies that made the purchase. It's hard to speculate if that is true or not, most likely not, as it would be hard to imagine Berkshire taking a $358 million USD without the value investor knowing. Speculation. Recent reports show that Warren Buffett has agreed to join Jeff Bezos Amazon and Jamie Dimon JP Morgan in a venture designed to cut healthcare costs and improve services of their U.S. employees. This venture could mean bringing Teva to the table as the world's largest generic medication provider. Thank you for listening to this episode of Med Student Investor. Feel free to download the full report in PDF format using the link below. Also, feel free to subscribe to our channel. Until next time.